Welcome, everybody. I'm so happy to welcome today's guest, who is someone who's really found a way to bring humor, heart, and healing into one of the most emotionally challenging areas of life of caregiving. Something actually that is near and dear to my heart too. Danny and I did not talk about that beforehand, but I'll show real quick with the audience. Is Danny actually hosted an event with Laughter on Call for my medical business that I did 3 years ago, and here our worlds align. So welcome to the podcast, Danny.
Oh, thank you so much, Michael. I'm so delighted to be here. And yeah, it's a very small world. As I was reading
Yeah,
your bio, I was like, wait, Ascend Medical, I know them.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
exactly. Yeah,
But
so
even
Danny,
more so, I'm sorry, you go.
no, you go ahead.
No, even more so reading your bio as in on LinkedIn when you say I was a reluctant entrepreneur. I never meant to be an
Yeah,
entrepreneur. I'm like, wait, I
yeah.
never meant to be an entrepreneur. Wait.
Wasn't the path I set out on for sure. Yeah. I guess I should formally introduce you. So Dani Klein Modisett is the founder of Laughter on Call. It's a company that really brings comedians and compassionate engagement to people struggling with loneliness, dementia, mental health challenges. Just wait till you hear really how she got to where she was before to today. So I really her pivot from stand-up comedy is one that we all I think will be able to so appreciate. So Danny, why don't we just start with your story? Tell us about your journey that led you to create Laughter on Call.
Oh, of course, of course. So I was a comedian for 20 years and I taught stand up at UCLA for 10.
Wow.
And I got a call. And I wrote a book. Must remember the couple of books, but one book about laughter and marriage called Take My Spouse, Please. And yes, but it is about staying. People don't know.
Yeah.
It is about staying. It's how
To be
to,
clear.
yes. So it basically took my UCLA course and adapted it to long-term marriage because people would always say, "Oh, stand-up comedy, that's the hardest thing to do. I can never do that's the hardest thing to do." And then around the 10-year mark of my marriage, I was like, "Really? Stand?" It was like, I think
I don't know, sounds
marriage.
pretty hard to me.
Right, well, but stand-up, it's like it's over in an hour, and you eat a pint of ice cream. But like marriage is long. So I took that curriculum and I applied it to marriage to see where that other hard thing, right? Where was their crossover? And the book was really fun and successful. I was on a tour and I got a call from a friend of my mother's. My mother was living in New York City and I live in Los Angeles, but I was touring the country. And she said, "Your mother is arguing with waiters and she can't fill out a deposit slip."
Mm.
So, arguing with waiters, not that alarming. She was in real estate in New York, like no one ever called her nice. So, okay. But not being able to fill out a deposit slip, that was really
Yeah.
a red flag because she worked in money. So so I flew in and I found, pretty much what was I was warned about, right? There was like plates of food uneaten and news, lots of piles of mail and like dog hair everywhere
Mm.
because she decided that 78 was going to be her year of the dog and she took in a rescue dog.
Oh, wow.
So that was really a lot. So my sister lived in Boston, so she lives in Boston. So we both took her over to the Martha Stewart Center. It's
Oh, yeah.
part of Sinai Medical Center up in the 90s and on the east side and dedicated to mental health, to decline for women, actually cognitive decline. And we had her evaluated and, they said, of course, what you don't want to hear, we're out of Ozempic. No, that's my bad
Yeah.
joke. No. They said, thank you for laughing. They said, your mother has Alzheimer's. So we hired a team. We put a team of people in. She fired them within 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Very familiar tale. And eventually we did get people in there, but within about 2 years, she wasn't leaving her apartment. And that seemed, really isolating and lonely and not good. So my sister and I decided to move her to Los Angeles, where I live, to be near me and my family. I had young sons and to bring some life to her life. And I found this place that had like a chandelier in the lobby and it was joyful. It's a specific community called Silverado. I don't know if people have heard of it. They're all about turning fear into love, which I also
Mm.
really loved that as a mission. And anyway, within a couple of weeks, she realized she wasn't leaving. And she became depressed and withdrawn and
Mm.
like really wasn't eating and like sitting by herself. And I felt so guilty about it. and I was at my dentist, and of course it's LA, so she's also like a life coach. And she said, and I said, gosh, I can't make my mother laugh. I just wish I could hire a comedian to do it. And she was like, oh, why don't you do that? That's a good idea. So I did. I put up on Facebook looking for comedian interested in gerontology, paid gig. And my phone rang like 5 minutes later, and it was a comedian in Los Angeles, and she's sitting on park benches. She really wants to work with seniors and like hearing their stories. So she really wants to work with seniors. So I made a date for her to come in. And at first she was kind of doing shtick, and my mother was kind of flat and not responding. And then she pulled up a chair and got at eye level with her and was completely authentic and said, I know you don't want to talk to me. No, you're probably thinking, who is this schmuck just talking to me?
Oh,
And much like you, my mother started laughing. She heard the word schmuck and she started laughing. Her eyes
right.
lit up. And then the comedian, being a comedian, was like going to top her. So she was like, schmuck, schmuck. And they get into this like basically schmuck off. And it was so undeniable and delightful and everything that I was looking for because she
Right.
came live. And then the comedian handed her a glass of water, and my mother took the water. And trust had been created through that laughter, which I knew to be true, but to actually witness it like that.
Right.
And so I hired the woman 8 hours a week on the spot to come at make her own schedule because that's the nature of comedians. They like their freedom, and it was undeniable the change. My mother started eating again and joining in her community, and like even when the comedian wasn't there.
Wow.
Which, of course, there's evidence to support this now. The University of Iowa did a study that proved that even when even when they forget what triggered the emotion lingers.
Right.
So that's really good news for laughter. In any event, I wrote an article about that experience for AARP magazine.
Oh,
And
cool.
yeah, it was great. And I got hundreds of requests for comedians around the world. And
From
so,
comedians?
no, for
Oh,
comedians.
for comedians.
Thank
Okay.
you for clarifying. No,
Yeah.
for people, families who wanted comedians
Yeah.
for their families, so for their loved one. So that's when I launched. So when you talk about like the unexpected entrepreneur, I mean, if I'm being completely honest, the moment I saw my mother laugh, I was like, oh, I'm sunk. Like, how could I not do this? Now I have to do this because there's always comedians who need work, and they have a unique set of skills that can draw people into them and to express themselves in that way. And so I was very fortunate because just from an entrepreneurial point of view, I had been in a dance class with this woman who read the article, and she approached me after class. And I mean, I had talked to her casually in the past, but she approached me and she said, look, I read your article and I really believe in what you're doing. And I want you to come in and pitch to my financial people. I'd like to support this. I have a foundation. And so I did. And, that's really the backstory. And the initial, it was, creating connection one laugh at a time. So,
Right.
that really was, and that remains the soul of the company, although it's much broader now, which is how we ended
Yeah.
up at Ascend. Uh,
Yep.
that's more of the story, of course, COVID.
I was wondering, I was curious in reading through it, like really, how did you get through from that mindset of just kind of this one-time act of love for your mother to what you've created now? One, you had to take advantage of that opportunity that was there, but it's because you saw the impact. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Uh,
I mean, and you've brought comedy into places really that people don't usually associate with laughter. Memory care, mental health, even corporate training, not usually a fun-filled, laughter-filled place. So, uh, what really affirmed or what experience did really told you that this work truly matters?
there's really one word answer: COVID.
Oh, yeah.
COVID. I mean,
Yeah,
and it's actually, another interesting part of the journey because COVID hit what, March 15th, there's March 13th or
right
15th.
around there. Yeah.
And I was told by my CFO, okay, well, you're done. because our whole business model was working in person with the most vulnerable population.
Right.
So he was like, "You're done." And it was a rainy afternoon in LA. It was a Friday, I remember. And I was kind of teary. And so was my assistant because we'd been together a year and a
Of
half and,
course.
really had a lot of hope. But it was clear, yeah, he was right. But then I thought, well, if we're going to close up anyway, why don't we do something virtually? Because we'd been training
Hmm.
comedians. We had a camera in the office. We'd been training comedians around the country virtually. So we were set up. I was like, why don't we
Oh,
just do like an interactive lunchtime laughter? And we'll meet Monday through Friday from 12 to 12:30. It'll be open to the public and we'll see what we can do to help people. And so that's exactly what we did. And within 2 weeks, perfectly lucid people were showing up who, you
uh,
know, we
yeah.
had thought it was going to be for our caregivers and seniors. But then lots of people started showing up who were just isolated and depressed. And much
Mm,
like ourselves, like we were realizing, me and my team, wow, we felt better within that half hour of laughing with people. Like we felt better. We felt less alone. And so I started talking to HR leaders and different people around the country who needed this, around the world, frankly, who needed this kind of support. And I had the proof. Like I used to say, so I'm from the East Coast, and there was a guy called Cy Sperling back in the day for any East Coast listeners, and he had hair plugs. It's kind of funny. And he was like, "I'm Cy Sperling for the Hair Club for Men." And then
yeah.
he would say, "And I'm not just the owner, I'm a customer."
I remember that. Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's how I felt. Like I'm not just the owner, I'm a customer.
Hmm.
Like this has changed my life. And then we started getting the feedback, and then actually Harvard Business School, I reached out to, the Harvard Business Review wrote an article about laughter in business.
Yeah.
So I
Hmm.
reached out to the author or the writer and I said, "Hey, you might be interested in this." And she was like, "Absolutely." So we met, and then Laughter on Call became a case study for Harvard Business School. So then I ended up speaking there, and we were really in that. It was a great case study because it was like, do we stay senior space? Do we expand into the
Right.
corporate? And of course, ultimately, we just do everything now, and both are equally viable and important because of I hesitate to use the word healing because in Alzheimer's, you're not healing anybody,
Right.
but you are addressing depression, anxiety, and agitation. So, to that extent, in a micro sense, day to
For
day,
sure. Yeah.
it does have healing power. But all of the studies now, in terms of just regular people and leadership, if you want to create trust, get people laughing together. And if you want innovation to occur more quickly, get people laughing because then the
Yeah.
synapses are firing. But it can't be any kind of laughter. So it can't be put down humor, sarcasm, anything aggressive. So that's what I'm very committed to. I talk
Hmm.
about affiliative laughter. It's very specific. It is about affiliation and bringing people together. And so that's why it's transferable. It's all transferable from UCLA teaching comedy students to marriage and trying to stay connected and joyful with a long-term marriage to Alzheimer's to corporate. It's about using
Yeah.
affiliative humor, like joyful humor, to maintain trust and connection. So
I was never familiar with that term until I started doing reading, but thinking back to the experience almost 3 years ago with Laughter on Call, 100%. Like there was nobody, no derogative comment. It was just fun. You were just
exactly.
like, and we're a virtual, Sin Medical is, largely a virtual organization. So that's exactly why we reached out because it felt like a way to bring people together and 100%. We got rave reviews from it.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
And how
Yeah.
interesting that you didn't know about the backstory.
I did
And
not.
I'll tell you why that happened. We corrected that. We tell the backstory now to everybody because everybody's interested.
Oh,
But
good.
there was a concern in the beginning that if we talked about that, particularly people that are invested in their cognitive ability, So let's
Uh,
say low
yeah.
earners, they don't want to hear. They'll get very confused and they're like, this is not for me and I don't want it.
Or like you're trying to do some kind of intervention on their cognitive
Right.
abilities.
Or just pride of like, what are you talking
Yeah.
about? I'm fine.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, but now, because I've spoken at a lot of business schools and at a lot of conferences, and the backstory is very compelling because it was taking a personal, which is so important, I believe, for entrepreneurship, a personal investment in something and
Mm,
wanting
yeah.
and not finding the answer and creating the answer. And when you have that kind of passion, it's super attractive.
Yeah.
And so now I do tell it. I tell it. Sometimes it's 3 minutes, sometimes it's 45 minutes. If I'm speaking to like
Right.
women's entrepreneur group, a national women's entrepreneur group like WeBank, which I was the keynote there, and 1,200 people in the room, and 40. Here's the whole story because they need to hear it because there's
Right.
lots of more nuances that I can explain. But for our gigs for Microsoft and Amazon and all that, like I'll just, or Pepsi, we'll just come in and everybody knows it. They say it quickly. And the point is, one of the biggest reasons we do it is to make clear that we're not just like a comedy company. Like
Right.
we really have an investment in human connection. And that's why you've brought us in to solve a problem.
Yeah.
Um, so
I think it's very clear you've transitioned extremely well into the entrepreneurial world. But what do you think people might not realize about running a company like yours, especially one that really is built around such a human emotional service?
Uh, that is a great question. There's no widget, right? I'm not selling a widget. I'm dependent on human beings and human
Right.
beings being present and in good spirits and now we fly people all over the world. So, that element is makes it a more high maintenance situation because you're talking of your stock and trade is human
Right.
beings.
Yeah.
So that's challenging. Also, I'm selling stuff, when you're talking about laughter, it's come way far from Norman Cousins in the 1970s. Like people do get it. And in no small part to Harvard and Stanford, two women at Stanford that wrote a book called Humor Seriously. So there are tentacles in there for people to grab onto or whatever those things are when you climb a mountain. Um,
I don't know either.
Oh, there's such a word. Someone's going to call in and tell you it's prongs or thongs
Yeah.
or whatever they are. Um, but it's still, there's a certain degree of legitimacy that needs to be laid out for people. That's number one, of the value of what we're bringing. And then also to make sure they understand that it's safe, that we're not
Mm,
Dave Chappelle or
yeah.
Chelsea Handler coming in
Right.
to like tell you what's up. Like we're not
Yeah.
doing that. I don't know what that accent was. Forgive me, everyone. But um, because especially corporate, right? Like I do remember going down the line. I won't say the company because I don't want to be liable. But there was a company we went all the way down with, and then at the end they were like, "We can't do it. It's somebody at the very top was like, "Did you say comedy?" Yeah, no, we're not bringing that in. It's too
Really?
risky. It's too risky. So I would say those are the two that it's uh, humans involved on all
Yeah.
levels. That also it's comedy, so you have to be really clear about that it's affiliative humor and that we're here to help. Uh, and then there's just the challenge of selling something that's a little bit cutting edge. Like it's a little
Yeah.
bit not, as you said earlier, well, you don't normally associate laughter with mental health or certainly Alzheimer's or team building. And yet it's so important. Like we did an event for a company called Elfster and they do gifting. And so we went in person and did a full day with them. And in the beginning, people, there's always people that are like, yeah, no, not me, thanks. But we hook them. We do end up hooking them. And in the end, the last exercise was they were broken into groups to write a jingle for the company. That was the task. Each of the groups had to
Oh
write
my.
a quick proposal. And they're a creative company to begin with. I wasn't asking
Yeah.
engineers to do that, but for them, you know, and they were done. Like I had 5 minutes, allotted 5 minutes. They were done within a minute and a half. Most of them were done, and they were good. And the CEO commented that that was the fastest that they'd ever done anything as in teams. And it's because we had been laughing already for like 4 hours.
Right.
So their minds were open and they could trust each other and throw things around. And nobody was afraid that they were going to say the wrong thing or it won't be right. And, oh, I don't want to do that. Like, they won't like me. They'll think I'm stupid. Like, there was none of that. All of that gets taken out of the room. And so you're really coming from a pure space with
Right.
your ideas and with each other. So that was a great reminder. I was like, wow, okay, yeah.
I mean, it's interesting that I mean, how could you not get it? Once you experience it, I don't know how you could not get it, but like, I'm kind of curious with a company like yours, how are you typically getting in front of new clients today? Like, is it word of mouth, referrals, digital marketing? Like, what's your company doing?
Great question. A lot of it is word of mouth. A lot of it is referrals, like Amazon, Microsoft, Pepsi, Comcast. Like these are clients because much like going to the gym, you don't want to do it once. You need to
Right. Yeah.
reinforce the ideas and to give people an opportunity to practice. Uh, and then in terms of new business, it's a little bit of a struggle. I mean, it's not like,
Right.
I'm an avalanche of leads. No.
Yeah.
So we work with Google Ads. We've worked with Facebook, and now we're just about to start a drip campaign um,
Through
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 MailChimp.
email? Oh, MailChimp. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, Gosh, I've had a few missteps. I hired a company in India that gave me the most amazing pitch. It was like a half an hour pitch. I was so impressed, and it did not go well. That was for SEO, and they used like farming or something. They made lists through farming. It wasn't like actual keys.
Yeah, SEO-ish.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes.
yeah,
And
yeah,
that was really unfortunate,
yeah,
waste of money.
yeah.
Um, and I probably get pitched like 3 times a day. How to increase your leads, how to increase your leads.
Hmm.
And
Which would be very helpful for you, but it's like overwhelming when you don't really know the best way to go about that. Yeah,
exactly,
yeah,
exactly. I have a blog that we do weekly. I do a lot of conferences, especially in the senior space. I speak at a lot
yeah.
of conferences. I'm going to do a TED Talk in October, hoping to.
I had TED Talk in the back of my mind,
Yeah,
just
yeah,
listening to
yeah.
it. I mean, it's just natural. Like you could probably go up on stage right now, give you a 30-minute TED Talk, no
Right.
problem.
Well, I'm excited. I'm excited. And it's in Cape May, New Jersey, and October 5th. And the theme is being human, which I love.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think what's interesting, that's just perseverance. People talk about talent and gifts, and I've been applying to TED for 5 years.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wow.
Now,
I honestly had no idea how that process even worked.
but okay, granted, the 5 year process got me to the big idea. Like they're very strict about you got to have a big idea. So I had a general idea 5 years ago, but now I have a big
Right.
idea. Like now I know
Yeah.
what I'm
Yeah.
talking. And so it's all good. And also, what's fascinating about that is when I had the final meeting, and they said, "So just so you know, someone else on the lineup is interested in changing senior care. Like that's his mission." And he's already bought 200 tickets.
Oh,
So it's like so wonderful for
interesting.
me because I'm going
Yeah.
to go into a warm room. I,
Yeah.
because it opens with the story of my mother. That's how it launches. So yeah, having faith is really important as an entrepreneur. Like
Right.
just showing up one day
Yeah.
at a time, every cliche, it's all true. And
It's true.
also,
It is true.
something else that's really important is surrounding yourself with enthusiastic people.
Right.
Right.
Community is everything.
Yeah, I cannot
Yeah.
emphasize that enough. Anybody with energy, I've had to fire a few people, God bless them, because I don't want to be around that energy. Like
Hmm.
I guess I've been living in California too long, but like if you're not like yeah, if you're not a yes person, it's just not the right company for you. That's just,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
and so that's a big one. Yeah, that's a
I mean,
big
you
one.
have such a powerful visual and emotional story. I mean, I mean, are you doing Facebook? Are you doing video? I mean, it was just such the story to tell.
Right. Yes, I
Yeah.
do. I could do so much more. And
Yeah.
I'm about to be an empty nester. My youngest is going off to
Oh.
college. So I
Yeah.
think I'm going to have a lot more hours. And
Have
so,
you dabbled in any AI to help you tell the story at all? Is that something you've dipped your toe in yet?
okay. Okay. So funny that we're having this conversation today because, and told you about the TED. So the first draft was 4,000 words. And they're very strict about time, like 18 minutes. And I think they turn the lights
Yeah.
off, like you're done.
Uh-huh.
So just on a whim, I have a friend who's a TV writer, and she is in love with Chat GPT. Like she
Oh,
asks Chat GPT every single, like, where should I
yeah.
go to dinner and what should I
I,
wear?
I'm
Like,
with her.
right, right. So I just on a whim said, I'm gonna put this talk into Chat GPT and just let me see what it says.
Yes.
And I said, and she said, but you have to make sure that you say, I want you to be brutally honest,
Hmm.
because otherwise it'll just blow smoke up your dress.
Yeah.
And so I did. And it came back and it said, this is moving and funny and unique, and you are going to do very well with this. And it's too long.
Oh.
And would you
Okay.
like me to
Yeah.
help you craft it into the appropriate length
Yeah.
of a
Yeah.
successful TED Talk? And I was like,
Hmm.
yes,
Yeah. Go
let's
for
take
it.
it. All right. And so it did, and it structured it a little differently. And it took out some of the soul. So, some of my
Yeah.
voice. So
Well,
I had to go,
well, because it doesn't know you yet. Like the more it gets to know you, Danny, the more it will sound like Danny.
I know it's so
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
But it was
It's
incredibly helpful. It was
yeah. Yeah.
incredibly helpful. And
Yeah.
and so that's like my big Chat GPT success story. So yes, I'm totally hooked.
Starting to dabble a little bit.
No,
Yeah.
I had a phone scam situation, and I wanted to report, make a report for the police and for the
Yeah.
bank. And
Uh-huh.
I just went right to ChatGPT. Okay, can you please,
Yeah.
here's the details of what happened. Can you please
Yeah.
write me
I mean,
up?
why waste so much time crafting just the right when it can you give it the information and let it do the crafting.
Wait, not only did it do the crafting, but it introduced me to some regulations that I didn't know.
Oh,
Now,
yeah.
here's the thing. I have a mentor at the US Attorney's Office now because of this fraud. And so I sent it to her and she said, "Okay, I've actually never heard of Regulation E. You want to make?" I said, "Well, to be honest, I put it in ChatGPT." And she said, "Well, that's great. Make sure you fact check that because
Yeah.
it can be
As the little
created."
disclaimer says, it can be wrong.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so I did, and it's real.
Yeah.
And she'd never heard of it.
Isn't that amazing?
And
Yeah.
she argues, she
Yeah.
defends fraud victims.
Right.
But there is this regulation E that says if you were coerced into making an electronic transfer, you're protected under fraud. So, and that was all, not to mention, yeah, it was
So
beautiful.
you even impressed a U.S. attorney with your
Yeah,
savviness of AI.
yeah. And now I'm totally hooked. I'm just,
Yeah, it doesn't take long. But thinking of your business though, I mean, I've always found that keeping up with potential clients and follow-ups to be very time consuming and
mhm.
chaotic. Like that's not a lot of times when entrepreneur, that's just not their thing. Like that's not their superpower is just having to manage all of
Totally.
this. Have you looked into ways to automate that at all? Like,
Yes. I mean, we
yeah,
absolutely have. My concern with it as someone who receives these all day long
yeah,
is that they sound like AI. Like
yeah.
it'll
You
be
need to,
like, hey,
yeah.
Danny, I noticed that on LinkedIn you have worked for Pepsi. We would like in the
I like
personal development space. Like,
yeah.
it's so like,
There's definitely ways to do it. Again,
right.
you gotta. I have been personally quite impressed with how human it can sound. But again, it's totally system dependent. Yeah, for sure. So think ahead 6 to 12 months from now. What would amazing growth look like for Laughter on Call? I mean, is there something right now that you wish kind of felt simpler in thinking of automation, more automated so that you could focus more on your mission?
Uh, well, absolutely the lead situation is the challenge. So getting
Yeah.
that automated and generating more work for my people. And then I could also envision a world where the employee experience is automated. So here's your client, here's
Oh,
your
yeah. Hmm.
travel, here's the gig,
Yeah.
here's the wrap up, and so I
No, you
don't,
could definitely do that. Yeah.
right, right. But
Yeah.
the lead situation, I'd love to like triple our sales so that we're reaching more
Right.
people. And,
Yeah. Well, what's
there's
so cool about what you do is sales equals helping people.
right.
Right. You can't sell anything without actually helping someone.
I
That's what
know.
makes it so perfect.
Yes, that is really cool.
Yeah.
That is really cool
Yeah.
because I don't know if you or your audience is aware, but like Hollywood's really, it's very challenged right now in terms of employment. And
Oh,
so,
really?
yeah, employment's way down. And so the idea that I can use my talent and actually like make a difference and help people feel better
Yeah.
is and be employable is very valuable to me. I feel like it's like the perfect use of who I am and what I have to
Yeah.
offer. And so I am really grateful for that. And I do take these meetings where I hear people pitch. I was a little burned by that SEO situation. Um, and I have the same staff for all 7 years. I have kept
Wow.
everybody.
Yeah.
And
That says a
so
lot.
yeah, I mean, they're all very dear. Everybody's very invested. A lot of them work part-time because they're also actors and
Right.
filmmakers and
Yeah.
musicians. And my social media person in particular, she has great taste. We work together great. And so it's a delicate balance of inviting in an outside company because I don't want her to
Hmm.
feel threatened. I want
Sure.
it to be something that like
Well, in social media, you mean specifically?
or even in advertising, like she's been
Yeah.
involved with
I got you.
she's the
Yeah.
sales director and all that. So,
Hmm.
uh, again, it's a people business and,
Yeah, of course.
I
Yeah.
have
I would be
to,
the same way. Yeah. Yeah.
gotta
I
respect
mean,
my,
what I know I haven't smiled as much as I have in this last 20, 30 minutes, whatever it was for any podcast. So thank you very much for that. Like I
oh,
said,
it's
I
my
was really
pleasure.
looking forward to it. Put a face to the name, like the face to
Yeah.
the name of the company. So I appreciate you spending some time. Great conversation. Uh, your story is just so amazing. Like I said, I'm going to go back to my Ascend medical team and share the story and that I actually chatted with you and share the heart behind what you're building. So I really appreciate that. Thank you so much.